Today we'll be covering absolute phrases and how to use them within your sentences to expand the imagery. Okay, sorry for the background. An absolute phrase, this is a sentence part describing the rest of the sentence in which it appears. So an example would be a teenager in a black tank top, a greenish tattoo flowing across her back, hoisted a toddler into her shoulder. So the greenish tattoo flowing across her back is the absolute phrase. It's supposed to give some imagery. So there is a test if you have a phrase in the middle that you can do, and that's putting was or were within that phrase. And if it makes sense, then it's an absolute phrase. A greenish tattoo was flowing across her broad back. So you could actually take that and turn that into a sentence. And that's what makes it the absolute. Okay, another example, two hard-faced men, both cradling submachine guns, stood watching him closely from the adjacent guard station. Again, we'll do the test. Both were cradling submachine guns, and that's your absolute phrase. Another way to identify an absolute is by its opening word. It's going to be a possessive pronoun, so a pronoun takes the place of a noun. And here are your examples of what they could be: my, his, her, its, our, and their. The pronoun can be visible or implied, so it's invisible, meaning that that pronoun could be there, but you'll know who they're talking about. So we're going to look at examples so that sentence that I just said will make more sense. All right, examples of visible possessive pronouns. Mama was out of her bed now. Her, long black skirt over her nightgown. The pronoun her is visible before the long black skirt, so that's the visible possessive pronoun. And a possessive pronoun, it's telling you who the long black skirt belongs to. An invisible possessive pronoun, he was sitting on his cot, elbows on knees, looking down. So the word his is visible before elbows, so it's not in the actual absolute phrase, but it's right before it. Sentences can contain single or multiple absolute phrases, the same thing with adverb and adjective phrases. A single absolute will look like, he looked over to where the huge, filthy birds sat, their naked head sunk in the hunched feathers. Again, it's giving that extra detail. Multiple absolute, she burst into green sobs, her whole body shaking, tears streaming down her face. So you have multiple absolutes within that sentence. Here's the deal about absolutes. They can be removed without destroying the basic meaning of the sentence, but notice how including them adds detail and style to the sentences. Absolutes build better sentences, and you can use them in analytical, you can use them in creative writing. So it definitely builds detail, but you can take them away without messing with the meaning. Examples are a teenager in a black tank top hoisted a toddler into her shoulder. But when we add that absolute, a teenager in a black tank top, a greenish tattoo flowing across their broad back, hoisted the toddler into her shoulder. So it just gives that detail. Again, two hard-faced men stood watching him closely from the adjacent guard station. Two hard-faced men, both cradling submachine guns, stood watching him closely from the adjacent guard station. Not only does it give detail, but it also gives you mood. It builds tension within it. It gives a tone of what's going on. So it actually adds a lot more than just the detail. Another example, he looked over to where the huge filthy bird sat, or he looked over to where the huge filthy bird sat, their naked heads sunk in the hunched feathers. It also gives characterization to something. So what you're going to have on Edmodo, there's an assignment where we're going to start practicing these. Please look back over this as a resource about absolute phrases. They're really easy to put into your sentences, and they're really great detail. They create mood, they create tone, they create characterization, they create suspense within your story depending on the details that you're adding. So this is a really great, easy tool that you can use along with adjective and adverb phrases to add detail and imagery to your sentences. So go to Edmodo, and it's called Absolute, I think, practice number 1.